Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tea with TPS, informal conversations with thought leaders in India and abroad. Today, we have a very distinguished guest who has been in the news for several years, whom most of you know. If you look at his background, he was educated in Princeton University, trained in France, joined ISRO, became a great expert on propulsion, and became the leader of the project with collaboration with Russia. And later, he was awarded the Padma Bhushan. He was given compensation for much of the suffering that he underwent. And now he's a peaceful, calm person who has behind us the story, but very philosophical and stoical about it. So this is all very good for a human being. But nobody will envy him the few months that he spent with horrible sufferings and a tremendous amount of time, which must have affected him, his family, his friends, society. So that is an aspect of the story which is documented in a new movie. We have the book and the movie, and so his story is well known. But I'm very grateful to him that he accepted my suggestion that we have this conversation because I'd like to understand more about his personality as a scientist, his contribution to India's technological development, and the way in which he was able to face the adverse circumstances. Looking back at it, you may say that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste, as Winston Churchill said. Because a good crisis has not gone to waste because he has transformed himself to a new personality which is worth studying by everyone. So thank you very much, S.Nambi Narayanan, for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, the present situation is that you have won the case, you have been totally exonerated, but the fight is still not over. So what is that you are trying to do after this? Do you still have an incomplete mission or unfinished business with this particular case in your life?
No, as far as I am concerned, the case is over, or at least my job is over. What was my job? My job was to identify the people who were behind this conspiracy and put them in front of the law. Now, law will take its own course. Now the case is between CBI and some suspected accused. I have no job. I have finished my job. I am only a witness on the prosecution side. If they need myself to vouch for certain things, I will always be available. But otherwise, Srinivasan, the case is over. I mean, as far as I am concerned, I need not do anything more and I have nothing to do more. It is now between the CBI and the accused.
Well, you are a scientist, at the same time a great believer in God, as I understand. So the rationalism of the scientist and the faith and devotion of the God, how do you reconcile them?
I think I am a human being, basically, whether I am a scientist or some specialist is immaterial. I am a human being who was brought up in a certain style, in certain manners.
Traditional.
Which was traditional way of my family. My father was actually also a firm believer of God. My mother was very orthodox and she was, so I can't be different from that. That is one, but I'm not saying in that sense. I'm saying this particular, see, I was not regular to go to temples, I just visit sometimes, etc. But this case has proven to me beyond doubt that there is a divine intervention in the whole thing. Because if I start explaining that, it will take a lot of our time. But I can tell you, I can assure you, you believe me, one of these days we get an opportunity to relax and then sit and talk, I'll tell you, this has time and again proved to me that there is a divine intervention. I have not achieved anything, honestly. It is a divine intervention. This is my belief. It's not, yeah.
No, but during the difficult days, did that comfort you that this is divine intervention, or only when you felt that you were protected and you came out of it that your faith increased? Did you at one point in time believe that God has given you up, or why this happened to you? You know, the book of Job question, why me? Did you have that kind of an experience, and then did you get a divine kind of blessing that you must get over it and you will get over it?
It's a very good question. Actually, this is the belief which made me to start the fight, because I knew that I am going to be backed by the divine intervention. And in fact, I am asked to do it. This was my, it is not just like that, I'm telling you. Now, where from I got the guts to go ahead and then fight the center as well as the state, society, media, everybody. So it is only because of my firm belief in that which guided me. And of course, there were difficulties in the beginning, but never I lost my hope or faith in that. I knew that it will come. I was not knowing when it will come, but it came. Ultimately, it came. And so it is not that I got this belief after my suffering. No, this is already in me. But as you rightly said, why me? That was a question. I have an answer, but I don't want to tell you right now. But the whole thing is that this is part of life.
Yeah, but the whole story is unbelievable because we did not have the cryogenic engine technology in 1994. So simple as that. So that is the one that you don't have, that you sold to the Pakistanis. So how can that be ever believed by anyone in the system? Because everybody in India, whether you're a scientist or not, knew about the cryogenic engine. We knew that the United States was not willing to, did not want the Soviet Union to part with it. All this story we knew. And then to say that you handed over, I remember you were telling me one day that even if you have, there's nothing to hand over to anybody. Cryogenic engine technology. It is not that I give it a packet to the Pakistanis. It's not like that. So anybody who understands science, or anybody who understands the situation of India in 1994, knew very well that this story had no credibility.
But then why did it take so much time?
Yes, this is my question.
Yeah, I will try to answer that question. There are so many things. I mean, I don't want to go all. I don't know, I'm sure that you must be knowing this part of the law. When you suspect somebody, is it not the minimum requirement that you should search his house and his office before arresting him? That is number one. Number two, you are giving a recommendation to transfer the case to CBI on 29th or 30th November. On the same day you are arresting me, not leaving the matter to be taken care by CBI. I can keep on adding this. So these are things which will very clearly show that there is a determined, well-knitted or badly knitted drama, conspiracy. Now, this conspiracy, nobody seemed to be bothered about it at that time. In fact, I asked the same question to my interrogators. Where the hell I have this technology to hand it over? I don't have it. Not only me, nobody. No, we know we don't have it. But they're telling me, there is no technology, so you can't sell it, so you will come out very successfully from this mess. But say this now.
But then how do they torture you? How does that work?
No, because I refused to tell them. See, supposing if I would have told, I have a feeling they wouldn't be tortured. They want me to tell in front of a camera. Now, I told that, why don't you take it for granted that I have told you this? You write like this. No, we want to hear from your own voice.
What did they want to hear? What did they want to hear?
They want me to say that these technologies I have handed over to A, B, C. And I knew. They wanted me to say, they say that your statement in front of police custody is not valid in law. You can always wriggle out and then say that I have never told this. etc., etc. See, the point I'm making is they themselves, if they are contradicting with me, only I can try to convince them.
Right.
They say, yes, we know, but you say this and then get lost. I have done my job, you have done your job. So what is the meaning? They have planned a conspiracy. They want to create a scene by which they want to say that I have handed over. Okay. Now this could be part of the overall conspiracy. See, I understood later, much later, that they want to create this confusion because they want me to be removed from the scene. See, there are two ways they can remove me. One is physically finish me off. Another one is they can remove me by this kind of a thing. If I am arrested, then I won't be able to enter into the office. Then I will be kept under custody. At least a minimum of 1 to 2 years, I will be away, maybe more. This
Now,
is
what
what
is
they
there a more humanitarian approach to this? It is quite possible for them to influence your seniors, your bosses, so create some suspicion in them and have you removed. This is what happens in the government all the time. Without arresting or without torturing people. You tell them that we suspect him of this, please remove him. And normally they do it. That could have been a much easier way or more nobler way to deal with it. Because to remove you, to accuse you, and then jail you and so on, they seem very, very strange.
This is one way of looking at it. That is the way you are looking at it. But they asked me that I should name my immediate superior also as a co-conspirator. And one step above them, the chairman is so. What is that behind? See, I will tell you this complexity, you will understand it because they want to create a terrorized ISRO, an ISRO which will be demoralized, an ISRO where there will be discontinuity, an ISRO where certain area of a crucial project is under doldrums.
So
Now,
that means you believe it's an international conspiracy, not a UDF conspiracy.
I strongly believe in that, but I have no way of course, nobody denies the fact that America was not interested in ISRO getting this technology. In fact, Americans never hidden it, was not never hiding it from us.
Yes,
Their
that's a public statement that they had made. That
public
we would
statements are
allow that.
there, sanctions are there, and then payments are there. All they are trying to protect their interest. I mean, they were not doing anything illegally behind the scene. They were doing it legally. Right trially, they asked the Russians to break the contract. They said
But
that you break.
before they broke the contract, they were hesitant to do things for the engine. And that is why you had to get this through a private airline, through Karachi and all that, because the Russians themselves were not very sure that they could do it openly. Is that so?
No. See, the Americans asked the Russians to break the contract.
Right.
Then the Russians
Not
replied,
broken it yet.
yeah, the Russians replied that we will have to pay heavy compensation. Those compensation we will take care. You have to pay. They are willing to pay the compensation. In fact, that is what the Russians told me. And in fact, I could have got the compensation for the country and then got away from there, but I didn't because
So
I
said,
know
don't
that.
give me the technology, give me the engine and I'll take care of it. That was your compromise, wasn't it?
It is a compromise. Just by looking at it, you will call it as a compromise. That is what everybody looked at it.
Right.
But what I thought that the provision of the contract, which gives me that I can advance the payment, they can advance the supply. Now, this provision, I thought I will use it because, it is not something which is under development. It is already developed. They have this material with them. If I remember correct, they had more than 252 such hardwares available with them. So my calculation was that supposing if the contract is not redrafted, first of all, I avoided the contract to be scrapped. Second, I thought that the whole thing is under negotiation, the whole thing is under discussion. During that time, the original contract is still valid because that is not scrapped yet. So under a provision of that contract, I can get these materials. So the difference of opinion is, as you know, there is a very thin line of difference in that. So the Russians were worried, whatever you said and done, then this will come out. And then we will be in trouble. So that they were terribly afraid of the situation. But what I thought, I am getting certain material under the legitimate contract. What is the big deal about it? I am not doing anything illegal. Even now I hold that view. But there, the Air India fellow didn't want to cooperate with me. He said that without customs clearance, I won't give you I won't take it away, etc. And he asked the
No,
clearance.
that means you managed to do a few things which are very clever. At the same time, would they have been provoked by it, the Americans and the Russians?
No, it will provoke. Naturally, when they come to know about it, it will provoke. But the point is, I am talking about law. As per law, I am well within the law, framework of the law in operating this. Of course, there is a potential danger in interpretation and things like that. But see, it is like this. You play the game as it is presented to you. Now, it was originally to scrap the contract. I shouldn't want to use the word manipulated, but I made them to be convinced that, yes, okay, don't give me the technology, give me the hardware. So let us discuss number of hardware. That discussion is on. But
So in a way, indirectly, you got the technology transfer. This is their accusation, I'm sure.
this is their accusation. This is their accusation. But I don't know whether they are right or wrong, but that is, from their point of view, it is true. From my point of view, what is my point of view? I don't want to.
What was the chronology? After this happened, after this engine came to Trivandrum, how much time did they take to create the situation that you were in 94?
Very short. It was
No.
something like about 4 or 5 months. And
But in fact, 4 or 5 months. So you could connect the two.
I couldn't imagine that it will fire back on this way. I was thinking that materials have landed. There is nothing to worry about. It is in my territory. I don't have to bother about anything. And in the meanwhile, we were heavily occupied in preparing for the first launch of and the second launch. Yeah, PSLV. So, this is maybe this is a mistake on my side. I won't call this a mistake because it is not going to be possible to put things together in 4 or 5 months. It is going to take its own time. So,
but at that point in time, all your bosses up to the Prime Minister, they knew that this had happened.
no, they did not know every detail. They knew that there is an attempt to break the contract.
You found a way to get the technology into India. That must have been, they must have been.
No. I wouldn't call it that way. They knew that there is an attempt by the Americans to break the contract. They knew that is under discussion. They knew otherwise the contract is valid till that time. That's all they knew. But what I am doing is also, if it is illegal, then I would have got the clearance from the appropriate people. But I thought there is no need for me to go into any. See, this is some kind of a, shall I say, wits. You have to play it by that as it comes.
No, but for a big power like the United States, when they feel that their plan is being sabotaged or somebody is sidetracking it and getting what you want without their support, that could naturally be a provocation. There is no other
it is a provocation, but I want you to understand, or anybody will understand, technology transfer is not just a transfer of some drawings and some hardwares. Technology transfer is not the know-how, it is the know-why. That required time. Now that time was not here. See, in fact, why they took it for granted, these guys may take something, it's okay, fine. And but it doesn't mean that they are transferring the technology. It doesn't mean that those fellows are absorbing the technology, etc. See,
they knew that you are a brilliant scientist. They knew that you had a certain target. So obviously they were suspicious that this may have been engineered by you. That's probably the.
It's only a suspicion. It's only a. You see, everything is available at their disposal. They can. They could have. I feel they could have calculated and they could have found there is nothing big about it. In fact, they are talking
before you were arrested, there were already these stories coming up about these Maldivian women here and there and so on. So you never expected that would be directed towards you, naturally.
No, never. In fact, every day I was calling my friend of mine and asking, hey, today what is the news, man? This guy, what he could have transferred, there's nothing to be transferred. we were talking very genuinely, and there was no worry. Anybody who has anybody had that it will be I will be arrested. In fact,
That was a false allegation. But what I'm trying to do is they had a reason to attack you or focus on you. And that is what I'm trying to figure out. That could be the reason. There's no other reason why.
No, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. You see, I came back. I'm there, and I'm working on my project, and the other one is kept away, and we were not doing anything big.
No,
Because
if that is not true, then what Arnab Goswami was saying, that this was a great conspiracy against Indian space program. And by targeting the key person, they try to attain that objective of theirs. Not a personal against you, but a grand strategy against Indian space program. This is what I'm trying to figure out. Was it a personal attack on you, or was it a global kind of activity? And that makes a big difference in this whole story.
You see, one thing is very clear. Right from 92, I'm not talking about 94, 92, these people were not interested in India going ahead with this contract. The chairman of the Senators Committee, the present president.
That's Joe Biden, yes.
Yes, he has requested that this contract to be scrapped. Right. So they were not hiding anything from you. They are openly telling it has come in Los Angeles Times and newspapers and things. And Brian Harvey writes openly that there is a money transfer, etc. So it is untrue to say that they were doing a conspiracy at that time or even today. They were making it very clear that they don't want this technology to be transferred.
Right. And so now they want for getting it. And then,
but the next question is whether they were a party to this arrest, and they were. That is exactly what is under investigation.
I was in the United States in 92, 95. So our relations with the United States was not particularly good at that time. You know that. And but at the same time, whenever we have good relations with the US, even if we don't have good relations with the US, cooperation in technology, nuclear, space, etc., keep going on. I had a space officer in my own mission, so there are a lot of things happening even at that time, and therefore, but at the same time, they were not particularly keen that we should have any technology which would catch up with theirs. This happened much later, after we signed the nuclear deal, when we felt that we will get all that we want from now on. They did not want to do that. They said, okay, we have signed the nuclear deal, we have opened up the world for you, but we don't want to be responsible for India becoming a nuclear power. This they told me confidentially. So they said, you go and get it from others, but we will never transact nuclear material with you. And that's what happened. We never got a piece of nuclear material after the nuclear deal. You know that.
Yeah, but the point you are making, which I have understood, is that in sensitive areas where we are talking about a warhead, where we are talking about a missile, those areas I can understand, but never, at least not to my knowledge, if you have information, it is good, never they have crossed your way in a commercial competition. See, they have always been sensitive about yourself possessing nuclear materials and that kind of a thing. But this is a commercial part of it. There is no missile available using cryogenic technology even today.
Right. So, that's the other factor which nobody seems to know. No missiles with cryogenic technology.
Yeah, it is. I'm telling loud and clear. These fellows who were interrogating me, I never understood the difference between a satellite and a missile. See, they have never. See, there are people. I feel personally, there are people worth investigating. Some Baroda making technology being. See, I'll tell you why. These people who are interrogating me, as you rightly said, I am intelligent. Then they should put people who can match my intelligence in that. But what they have put is very low level officers. Who can't.
They create criminals,
Yeah, they were interested. They know.
I have told it. Then you would have become a criminal from that moment. right?
It is okay, but
Make
they
a
didn't
confession.
want to
He'll
get
tell
the
you, it's
information.
okay, you can, the court, you can say differently. But if you had made that confession then and there, and that is how many criminals are created. Somebody is picked up for a pickpocketing and then make him into a murderer and things like this. This happens all the time.
Yeah.
That is the police technique. Even today, unfortunately, we have signed the torture convention, but still third degree methodology is still practiced in India.
No, but they wanted me to confess it because I say they know only one technique, namely beating or torturing. They don't know anything, I'm telling you. See, at least you should match. I don't know if you know the people there, you will neither laugh nor. It is not a way of doing any interrogation. Yeah.
No, these constables probably do that. It's separate.
Exactly. They were constables or assistant sub inspectors, that level, some kind of a thing.
What do they know?
Yeah.
No, but then the other mystery is that from 94 to 96, our famous scientists did not come up with a clarification that there is no such thing as a cryogenic technology in our hands. Why did it take that long for them to say it?
No, I don't know. I told you this in various interviews also. According to me, they were wonderstruck. They were trying to understand what is going on, what is going around. But however, the fact that you don't have the technology, whether they say it or not, it is true, it was true, and it will be true. Whether, see, point I'm making is, I don't know. This is something very, but they did come back with an open letter.
That was later, but the
Yeah,
suffering was already over.
damage is over, but they came back. The question has a hidden agenda, whether they were supporting you or not, or whether they were telling you or not. They did tell me, not small people. The retired chairman is Professor UR Rao, Professor Sadish Dhawan, Professor Yashpal, Professor Chandra, and Rodam Narasimha, and then Mr. T.N. Session. So you have
No, but
something
by then the damage was done. That is my point.
damage is done only to me.
Right? Well, that is what we are talking about. How can you destroy a man like that? And that's very, very unfair.
As somebody else put it to me, nation is more important than the individuals.
No, but then there was a suspicion that you had done some damage to the nation.
I was telling you in a
So
sarcastic
that
manner.
argument I don't accept.
I'm telling you with an ulterior motive, saying that when I talk to many people,
Yeah.
one responsible fellow told me that whatever you say is correct, but nation is more important than the.
No,
I
that's
charge
because
sheeted him.
it is in the interest of the nation that they did that, which is
Yeah, and trying to say
basically
that
wrong.
they did it with the interest of the nation. Meaning what? Meaning, according to my limited knowledge, that they didn't want to rough with the Americans. That see the point. These are all you will understand it better than me because you are made to deal with that kind of a subject. For me, it was a different. I know only the technological part of it, so I could understand it slowly later, after everything was over. So that is the way it
No,
is.
but I don't think that is a principle which is accepted because that you might sacrifice a person for the sake of bilateral relations with another country. I don't think there is any other instance of that kind.
It depends on the country. It depends on the country to country.
Even with the United States, we have had very difficult situations. But there is always a diplomatic way of dealing with these issues. And we have been through several. But this one of trying to, target a particular person, at least in my 37 years, I have not come across any such instance in bilateral relationship with any country. The maximum we do is expel a man. Quietly they'll say, please take this man away. He's working against the interests of our country. And a similar thing they could have done. They could have very possibly they could have taken you away from the system by influencing our government. It happened in the case of my own foreign secretary when I worked with Mr. Mehta. The Russians made sure that he was removed from the foreign secretaryship. They didn't make an allegation and put him in jail and things like that. But pressure was put on the government and the government removed him. I was present, I was witness to that. Just because they felt that he was acting against the interests of the Soviet Union. And his interest was not that. He wanted Soviet Union to remain friendly to us. And he wanted to cultivate the Americans and the Pakistan, Chinese because our relationship with these countries were not good. So there was a concerted effort through our own intellectuals and politicians and so on, poisoning the mind of the Prime Minister and getting him on. This I have seen, I have recorded. This is the way they handle these things.
Mm-hmm.
They could have done that. They could have created a, an aura, a kind of mystery about all this and say that, it'll be better that we, do not deal with this gentleman. It's quite possible. And we would have accepted it in the case of, if that is the argument, then I'll accept that, But
we don't know. We don't know. For example, I mean, just for argument's sake, they must have tried that and it may not have worked. We don't know. See, because I am not in a diplomatic job, I am in a technical developmental job, and I can't be removed just like that for the whims and fancies of some foreign national. That
but
kind of.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah,
Several
it could be.
people-
We don't know. We don't know.
No, but this is much worse. that's the point I'm making.
Much worse to me.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Good for whom?
see, what is interesting here is there are many things which took place which nobody anticipated. Nobody could predict it. So things were, at least if you look at the entire scenario, this is how it goes. In fact, nobody anticipated this case will be transferred to CBI. Otherwise, but once they knew that it is going to be transferred to CBI, then immediately that you may arrest him and then put him behind bars.
But that was a relief for you, wasn't it? The CBI must have been better than our local police people.
The CBI was very straightforward, and
also they were more gentle.
not that gentle is not the word I will use it. They were intelligent. They were top level people.
In terms of torturing, etc., were they?
No, they were,
as
maybe
cruel?
I don't know. Yeah, they didn't do any torturing. They didn't do any torturing. They were listening to what we said. See, the problem is the other guys, their levels were low, and their instructions were probably clear, so they didn't want to listen to you. Even if they understand, they said, "Okay, fine, forget it. We understand. But you do this." But here they were listening to you, and they were trying to understand it better. And I think it was a very long discussion on
Was
the
PM Nair who dealt with it? Or?
Mr. M.L. Sharma, Mr. P.M. Nair, and even Vijay Ramalu himself.
Karthikeyan was the chief, CBI chief at that time.
No, Karthikeyan was not the chief. Karthikeyan, I don't know, but Karthikeyan was part of the investigation when we went to Malliha.
Only once or something in the jail, right?
Yeah, he was there, and he of course spent some very lengthy time. He was trying to understand what has happened, etc. But you see, as you rightly said, or as we both know, if any sensible fellow listens to this case, they will understand this is a bogus case.
Absolutely.
So Karthikeyan understood it in no time and then said it is a useless case, throw it away. The problem with the CBI was the media and then the IB and the Kerala police, they have built up the memento in such a manner, anybody will hesitate to say that this is no case or it is a fabrication. That was their worry apparently. So they wanted to ensure, in fact, if I may say, I think they called almost all the senior IPS officers of the country. All, not with no exemption. Everybody, they presented this and they asked their opinion. So they were not sure. They knew that this is a fabricated case. The question is, how do we say that? Is it right to say, or whether anybody will? So that way it went through.
No, you are weighing the pros and cons. So if they had anything in right hand, then you can check with the left hand. But here they did not have any evidence to show that you are guilty. So what was the need for doing so?
Not only that there is no evidence, there were evidences to show the other way around.
That it was not.
Yeah, it is.
You were not in that Chennai hotel, for example.
In fact, the reactions of those people after some 2-3 days was that they understood it is a fabricated case. Now, they were also baffled. Who must have fabricated? What purpose they must have? See, that is where my, irritation comes. You see, it is untrue. See, you are charged to find out this case. Now, you found out it is a fabricated case, right? That is how they wrote the report. It is a fabricated.
Yes.
If you know that it is a fabricated case, what I would expect them to do is to find out who are the fabricators.
Right.
That
And
is
then there was this local politics also, Karunakaran and Antony and all that. And that was also a
actually,
distraction, wasn't it?
actually, if I recall now, as you told in the beginning of your discussion, I'm not becoming philosophical, but I'm able to look at things more calmly without any agitation in my mind. I
Right.
think all these people are really, I feel pity for them because they have not understood what they are doing. I'm not saying that all of them are crooks. There are people who were just listening to orders and then their job is limited to this make that guy to speak, make that guy to write, make that guy to tell. They have not understood the reasoning or they have not applied their mind to. See, otherwise, tell me, you have so many IPS officers. I will tell you the senior IPS officer to whom the entire special investigation was assigned to. I asked for him. I said, please get him. I want to talk to him. Then they asked me, will you tell only to him? Huh?
That was Sharma.
No, no, I'm talking about the Kerala police. I'm talking
Kerala.
about before. Then finally, the so-called man came and he sat in a very highly elevated patayam kind of a table. And then he started, I don't know why he got into that table to show his supremacy. Like a Maharaja, he was sitting. And then he was asking me, what do you want to talk to me? I said, please listen, like that. That's all. He got down, walked away. Exactly 2.5 2 minutes, 2.5. Now, my question is why he didn't listen to me? Yeah, having listened to me, if he would have. No, what I'm trying to impress you is the guy was supposed to be intelligent. If he listened to me, he would have understood what is what. What if CBI can understand, this guy also can understand. Now, next point. Other than him, none of the fellows were of that caliber or that rank or that qualification. They were all inspectors kind of a thing. What they can understand. So the whole drama was, I don't know whether to use it as underplayed or something. Some useless fellows come with a definite assignment and then they were. Now today, I personally feel that they were all in very sad situation. They should have understood what they are doing and it's a very childlike thing, They were not, they are not professionally qualified at all. Whether you call them as IB, whether you call them as CBI, RA, anybody. In fact, I can see the difference. In that, there was a RA fellow. He came and he was a very aged fellow. He has understood the whole story. Before we handed over to CBI, he said, I am not going to be a party to this nadagam, this drama. Okay, get this. He said, come on, guys, get. Then there was some argument, and then he took the papers which were being held by his people, tore it off, and then threw it on the floor. And then he said, let us go. And then he turned to me and then said, Mr. Nambi, we are separate group. He didn't say Ra, but we are separate group. Our report will be separate. So you be bold, continue to hold your truth, and I'm sure that you will win.
No,
So,
because they are only interested in the international dimension. So obviously they knew there wasn't anything.
not only that. You see, you see, qualification matters a lot. You graduate and an IPS officer and IFS. There's a difference. You know it. After all, when you are an IFS officer, how come you become an IFS officer? Not just by luck. You worked for it and you had a potential intelligence and everything. So here, if you put an unqualified fellow, he will produce only such things. I'm not finding fault with him. Actually, they must have selected with great difficulty these unqualified people so that they won't ask for reasoning. They won't ask for any explanation. They will just go there and then do what they want them to do. That could be the reason.
And how did it affect you personally at that particular time when you were arrested for the first time and the allegation of all that? Did you feel at one point that this is too much for me?
No, it was too much for me. And when it was a shock, naturally.
But how did the family take it?
No, they were always with me because their only complaint is that I'm not with them. I'm always going away and then trying to do my office work. So they never, of course, they never suspected my daughter, my son, my son-in-law, everybody. They were never doubting anything in this direction. They all knew if something went wrong somewhere, we will find out. And they all lot of confidence in me saying that I will find out. Yes, their confidence is correct. I found out, but the kind of sufferings and the price I paid for was really heavy for that finding out. But at that time, your question is, how did I take it? Yes, it was tough. It was difficult for me. That is where I was telling you that the only hope I had was the divine intervention. And it didn't come in the beginning, but for example, why the hell the CBI should come in the picture? I don't know whether you see something, and that too in a 3 days time. Normally, such a thing takes at least 10 days, 15 days, something like that. If it is more than 3 days, I would have been finished probably. Because even when I was about to be shifted to the CBI, this was, come on, 1 minute, I will ask you. These fellows are like after me. So, in fact, the previous day, I fell down and the doctor came and then he was treating. I could hear, he was telling that this guy is walking on a knife edge. He may fall this side or that side. And that question I was asking to him, is it true? Am I walking on a knife edge? I can fall this side or that side. Is it that dangerous, my situation? I mean, I'm just able to. It's very funny. But these guys were after me. They were given, according to me, an assignment by somebody, not immediate superior, but much higher superior. And they want to get the credit for having got the instructions executed. That is the way I look at it. So they were after me. They were actually, I didn't want to use the word. They were running behind my jeep to get an answer. But so if some delay would have been there, things would have been different. So again, there is a divine intervention. And then the most interesting part is, I was told and I found out, the best team of the CBI was assigned with this job because they found it is a treason. These people were from the terrorist cell who were a very tough nut to crack. So they came. And for their intelligence, I would say that they were very intelligent. There is no question about it. Because before I complete a sentence, they understood what. In no time, they understood the difference between a missile. When I said cryogenic missiles were not existent, then I said, why? I said that preparation time and, yeah, we understand. So that way, they were very, very intelligent. And see, this is, again, I call it as divine intervention. See,
The point you made about your having survived all this, that itself is divine intervention, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nobody tells the story. So, but how about journalists? I mean, I see from your book that quite a few number of journalists were sympathetic to you and they told the story correctly. But at the same time, there was another group which was trying to scandalize you, etc. How did that work, that chemistry of one kind of journalism and the other?
No, I only wish that I don't want to mention the names of those journalists who were trying to write something bad about me.
Those who are friendly is already in the book.
Yeah, no, I'm saying those people who wrote something good, T.N. Gopakumar, K.M. Roy, Rajsekharan Nair, and then Shekhar Gupta, those set of people are there. But other side, if you really look at it, not yesterday, not 25 years back, I think even today, they are not fit to be journalists. They are, you see, it is like this. Somehow somebody thinks that anybody can do any job. If you give him a donkey, they will make the donkey to be a journalist. They will. You give him another useless fellow, they will make him to be an interrogator. I mean, what are they thinking about it? This is what has happened in this case. The journalist, I used a very popular word which became very popular in later. I said, ஒரு குப்பியும் ஒரு கோடிக்காலும் உണ്ടെങ്കിൽ they will write anything what you want. This became, in fact, in many places. is my original contribution to the journalism. So these people were calling themselves as journalists. See, I'll tell you, there was one Ananda Parthasarathi.
Yes, I know him.
Yeah, I came. Yeah, you must be knowing. He was working in DRDO, and I came out of jail.
IT man, yeah, with the
Yeah,
Hindu.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. I came out January 19th. January 13th, 6 days back, he wrote in Hindu, in a column between you and me, saying that he says, believe me, that this is going to be a bogus case, fabricated case. And all these fellows said, can you imagine that? He is a journalist. But this
Very wise.
very wise man. Very wise man, bold man. And he also had some sufferings to go through. Afterwards, I met him and I talked to him also. So the other people, I think it is time that we should. See, I'll tell you two things. Journalist, anybody can be their journalist. Now, a man who can write a murder case, the same man can write an investigation, like international conspiracy, and he can also write economic offenses. He can also write the sports column, everything. He can write everything, everything under the sun. He's an expert.
And also they have very little time to write all this. You know, they'll cook up, you have to cook
Even
up.
if you give, no, Ambassador, if you give them the time, they will not use it. They will use it for the Kuppi and Kodikal. They have time only to copy from them and then make some small changes here and then put it there.
Anyway, coming to the movie, we are running out of time.
Yeah.
Would you say the movie is, of course, when a movie is made, the director, the actor, they all make changes in it. But you think that movie, as you see it, is authentic?
100%. 100% authentic. I mean, I would say 95% authentic in the sense cinematization is done in a very limited sense. For example, in the auto rickshaw, when my wife and myself were pushed out, Madhavan would have taken the camera back and there is a flag and then the flag is dripping with rainwater. That is his ingenuity.
You didn't feel that this is not fair or this should not have been there, no. Because
Yeah.
Madhavan is a great admirer of yours. That is why I think he must have taken care to make sure that your sensitivities are not affected in any way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they could have made you run around the tree with Madam Razia or whatever.
No. Yeah, he didn't do that.
So he doesn't even have a song. He could have a song with Maldivian women in a
No,
tree.
he didn't do it. But there was an understanding developed between us after. See, we were discussing this for 1 year actually, not 1 or 2 months.
2016 he met you, he said. 2016.
2016 or 17 he met. 16, I think. 16 he met. And we discussed it for 5-6 months. He made some draft, as you said, not the dance, but some kind of a James Bond. Then second round of discussion only, I never claimed that these are my achievements. I didn't even claim the Vikas engine. Or I didn't even tell him.
That is one of his grievances. He says, why didn't you highlight all your achievements during that?
No,
Goes on asking you that, and you get an answer. What is there to highlight? I did my job. So,
and I got paid for it.
These policemen are going to listen to you if you say, I created propulsion in the ISRO. It don't make any sense to him. So achievements highlighting, I don't think would have helped you in any way. But later the people needed to know that what your contribution was. And that, of course, came about very well.
Actually, in the film, what I'm happy about, which I didn't understand it earlier, is it shows what are my achievements. That is one part of it. But I think what is more important than that is it shows the sufferings I have gone through in achieving those things.
That's true. And that is quite graphically, I believe. Quite graphically.
Everything. It is kicking me. Like, for example, my own men. I make a model. I keep a model. Then these people go around and then say, it's only a model. Let us see how the system works. Then spread. Then I make a working model. It is working model. Where is a test facility? Let us test it. You see, it's not a suffering. I will tell you, you didn't have the money I needed, or I was not provided with a budget. I was not provided with manpower. I was not provided with minimum facilities which I needed, because of the simple reason that many people believe that this liquid will not come through.
Right.
And it is not worth trying, and instead of putting inverted comma, wasting time and money on that. That is something which was boiling in my mind, which the movie has brought out very clearly, which is a truth actually.
That means at the higher levels, they did not appreciate what you were doing. Is that
I
what?
wouldn't call it as higher levels. I don't know. I don't want to use the word higher levels. Some levels, people who mattered a lot to the management and things like that. They need not be at the higher level. Yes, there were people from higher levels. There were people at medium level. See, these gossip mongers are everywhere, Srinivas. These gossip mongers are not only in ISRO, but all the places.
Absolutely.
And they have their own D-Day.
And then the tales are made just for the fun of it. They add and create a kind of sensation. That's quite common.
These people are intelligent, so they can make a beautiful comment very nicely. They need not go around and they take a loudspeaker and then make an allegation.
No,
In a
slowly.
conversation in a dinner table, you can make. I talked to him. He himself is not quite sure about what he's talking about. Like that, you pass it.
Yeah,
What
that will be carried. That will be carried.
Yeah.
No, but one thing that one of my bosses, Mr. Naresh Chandra, was a great bureaucrat. He says there is a tendency in the bureaucracy that if one of us is hurt, the others will try to hurt him more, not to rescue him. And he
Yeah.
says that like in a chicken coop, if a one chicken falls sick and they think that they cannot save it or they kill it because that is their interest. This should not be, gone to the others. So all of them just kill that little chicken rather than try to save it. He says bureaucracy is like that. So you kill it because you are not, suppose he is associated with your project and you are getting into trouble. So he'll try to isolate yourself and distance yourself from your project. And that is what happened in ISRO. Otherwise, why should they have all come up with this, statement that there's no such technology and this cannot be true?
No, actually, people who matters in this, who is the person who matters? The chairman ISRO, for example, minimum, or any, they were not willing to talk about that part of it. But you see, it is like this. They were watching. The most obvious thing, I asked later, I am not subjecting that for a public discussion on that. I had, the untold story includes my personal discussions with the people who mattered, who were keeping quiet, who were not doing. I have never, offended ISRO in any of my discussions. I have always been.
Access to them, you are able to phone them up and all that during the jail, in jail.
I talked to, see, as a matter of fact, I talked to them. I asked them, what the hell you know? How the hell you call yourself as so and so? See, they can't answer me. When the truth is, see, I told you in the movie, if you watch, you please will understand. There were scenes which are moving you. You become helpless. You watch it, and sometimes your eyes will become wet, or you will uncontrollably. I'll tell you, take it from me. But why? Because it is the true incident which took place. You must understand this. Supposing if somebody is beating somebody and imagine that add a little more masala and then beat him heavily, and you won't make that man to move. You won't bring him to some.
Real, I think it's more painful, obviously.
Yeah, when you really show what has really happened without exaggeration or without, that makes you to understand the story better. So that way, when the truth is there, when I come and ask you, supposing you were one of my bosses or you were one of the man who was placed, I come and ask you, hello, how are you? I just want to check with you. You call yourself as so and so. Why you kept quiet?
Yeah.
Now, what is the answer you will give me? You have no answer.
Right. They'll say we don't want to be caught in all this.
Oh, that's all okay. But my point is, I don't want to, because this is an organization which I was part and parcel of it. I grew that organization. I was one among the very few old
I
people.
mentioned this, that when somebody gets into trouble, people just try to distance themselves from it. This is a bureaucratic tendency, and that is probably what. Has any one of them written about this after all these events? Any of the senior scientists?
Some people have written. There are people, see, it's a mix of so many things. There are people who were so agitated, they spoke about it in limited sense. And there are people who You see, even people whom I respect, the moment the case is over, they called me and then said, "Hi, thank God you are out of it." I didn't tell him that what the hell.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
So it's very funny. I think you put it this way. Your explanation seems to be holding water. Actually, that is fine. But you asked about the movie. In the movie, it is really showing what has really happened.
Do
There
you
is
appear in person in the movie? You don't.
pardon?
Do you appear real? Are there any real shots of you?
Anyway, it is no more a secret. Yes, I appear in the movie in one scene at the fag end of the movie. I think when you watch today,
Madhavan, you appear, is it?
yeah, all of a sudden Madhavan disappear and then I come in the picture.
I see.
It was very nicely done by him, and it was good. It was good. It was done well.
Yes, he was dressed up very well. He looked exactly like you in many
Yeah, yeah.
movies. But whatever I
His jaw, he broke his teeth, and he was doing this hair doing. He didn't want to put the wig and all, so the hair doing. He has to go by slant. That took 14 to 18 hours sitting in a chair, and then. So he suffered. I would call he suffered a lot. He worked hard. He dedicated himself to this, and I don't know what else to say. I would also
it's
say
an award-winning movie, and that is definitely
if this movie doesn't
an
win an award,
award-winning movie. There is no doubt about it.
and
So
if
it's
this movie doesn't
historical.
win an award, there is no point in having an award.
Yeah, because it is not a documentary; it's a biopic, as they call it.
Yeah.
And, anyway, I'm so glad that you found the time to speak to me. I don't know whether we have been able to provide any new information to our viewers, but at least your view and my view are very clear that you have been innocent, you have been, badly treated, but you survived it basically because of your scientific temperament as well as your faith in God. So may you prosper and look more to the country. I know you have plans. In fact, when you met me, you were talking about an international cooperation, etc. You are not running away from space.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
know you will have the time and the energy perhaps to work on that. And whatever I can do to help, I'll be very happy.
So thanks a lot, Mr. Srinivasan. I have been always finding in you a person who probably I don't know whether to say, like me, you also speak the truth and you call a spade as a spade. So that is,
Diplomats
that is
normally don't do that. Diplomats normally don't do that.
yeah, yeah. So in fact, I don't know whether sometime back, first when we met in some interview, which didn't take place, afterwards we both, at least the only purpose it served was that we both met in that interview.
Right.
Afterwards, we were seeing each other. Then I called you and then came to your place and then wanted to get an advice from you in what way we can proceed.
You gave me your book also, autographed copy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what I read at that time. I was very impressed.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
very about. So even though nobody would envy you for what happened to you, but you as a person has emerged as a hero. Maybe a tragic hero, but hero in any case.
Anyway, I can tell you one thing this before we say goodbye. I am most happy. I am happiest person now because I feel I have achieved a goal which I was targeting.
That is very well
I,
said.
yeah. The second thing is, it is time that these people who have either knowingly or unknowingly party to this crime should now come out and then they are not going to escape. But the best thing would be to make life easier. I think they should now confess or say what went wrong, where it went wrong.
No, I would go
And
one step ahead, sir. I hope this will reform the police and reform the system. The people
yeah,
who see this movie must be moved to do something in order that such things do not happen in the society.
yeah,
That,
yeah,
that is what I would like it to happen.
yeah. So
Thank you very
thank you
much.
so much. Take care. All the best. Thank you.
We'll see.